Hi everyone, we've had lots of requests for looking at different aspects of learning and development. So the one we're going to go over today is pencil grip and grasp, and just looking at how it develops so that you know if your child's holding it correctly, if they're writing correctly, and just little tips on how you can make it better for them. On Tapestry, we've put up a new little bar at the top that says documents, and if you go on there you will see a file that says the stages of pencil grip and the chronological age, so you can check that your child is within the right age band and that they're holding it properly. So ideally the stage we want to get to is the dynamic tripod grip, and that's the one that most of you will be using. It allows our hand to stay still while our fingers move, so it's the most, what they call it's the most efficient or functional type of grip. Now, children don't reach that until they're about 6 or 7, so what they'll be doing is a static type tripod grip where they're really holding it quite still with 3 or 4 fingers, and then so they can't really move quite as smoothly across the paper, so that makes their letters a little bit uneven, but that's okay because that's where they should be, and they really can't, they won't have the muscle structure to hold it like we would. So what we're going to do is just talk you through some different activities you can do to improve the muscle structure over the whole body, so from sort of like the neck, the shoulders, the core, so everything to keep them stable. We're going to look at the extrinsic and intrinsic muscles, so that's the ones that are used for gripping. If they're weak, all of this will ache and they won't be writing for very long. So the first exercise you can do is anything to do with finger isolation. A child needs to be able to isolate their finger in order to be able to pinch a pen. So for this one you can do finger painting, get them to use only one finger and that make caterpillars across the paper, anything like that. That's quite fun. They can do bubble popping, again a nice fun activity. You can do walking up and down the table, so just get the 2 fingers as if they're walking, get them to walk up and get them to walk back. You can, if they've got the muscle strength, get them to walk up and down a pencil, or an object, so they're sort of manipulating the pencil up and down. That not only gives them control, it also strengthens the muscles. Now, to build the pincer grip, so whether it be 4-fingered, 2-fingered or the dynamic, we have to work on building the muscle strength. So for that one, we can use clothes pegs. It's quite hard, so if you get your clothes pegs indoors, get some really big ones, or real chunky ones, and get them to use it. Now the tendency for children will be trying to do it with both hands or whole hand. Because it's much easier, and that's because they're a little bit weak. Make sure they are only doing it with either the first finger and the thumb, or 2 fingers and the thumb. And the other ones you can do is tweezer games, so you could do picking up various size different balls and moving them. You can add counting to that one so that you're increasing their numerical skills. You can again do popping bubbles. Another good one is squeezing and pinching Play-Doh. So that really does strengthen all of the muscles in the hands. So you just squeeze and pinch the Play-Doh or cotton wool balls, anything like that. Another thing that's a bit more for children going to school is this one, because you need to be a bit more advanced. If you have a little bit of Play-Doh and they roll it between their fingers and just keep controlling it and roll it and roll it and roll it, see if they can roll it into a ball. Now, if they've got lots of strength but they're just not holding their pen right, what you can do is get them to form their tripod grip, so using their 3 fingers, and then place something in their hands and get their 4th and 5th finger to close over it, so they're holding their pen, that's it, with something in their hand. And what that does is develops all these muscles here, and it teaches them how to only grip with that. Another way you can teach them to hold it properly is by using something stubby. If you're using a long pen, they can always do a palm grip. So what you want to do is give them something small enough that they can't physically hold it in their palm. So you use it just in the first 2 or 3 fingers. And really another important skill, and this is really important for reading it as well, is bilateral coordination. And bilateral coordination is being able to work across the body. So they need to be able to do this movement in order to write and to read, that scanning motion. So, and this also teaches you how to use your helper hand. So when we're writing, if we have a piece of paper, we usually use our helper hand to stabilise what we're doing. If they can't work across the body, this hand won't be doing anything. It won't be using it properly. So you need to do activities that include both hands. So you could use pipe cleaners and you could get them to make a shape. So you could do triangles, circles, anything that causes both hands to be working together. You could do paper cutting. You need to be able to cut paper anyway, it's a good skill to have, but they need to be able to hold the paper still and cut with one hand. This also strengthens these intrinsic and extrinsic muscles. Another good exercise you could do would be threading. Threading's really, really good for that. And something nice and simple, sharpening pencils. Sharpener in one hand, pencil in the other. Then we have proprioception, and that is our brain's ability to be able to tell where we are. So where our hands are, if I close my eyes, I know my hands are at the side. Now little children, you'll probably notice, 2, 3-year-olds, they're always knocking drinks over, or they might run towards you, run straight into the door. That's not because they're being silly or they're rushing, it's actually because they're not really aware of where they are within space. So what we have to do is make sure that they develop those proprioception skills. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to tell that their hand's here and that they need to move it across. What you'll end up with wonky writing, they'll come down, up, or the shapes will be all over the page. So to do this, we'll be doing our ribbon writing. So when you're doing your phonics, all of that, because they're making their arms move and they know where they're going. Or they could make shapes with your body. So you can, when you're doing Twinkle Star, you're doing diamonds, you could do YMCA, you can make anything with your body, letters, shapes. Every time you do a singing song and you're making them move their arms, you're building their proprioception skills. Now the next two are vestibular movements and core strength. So your vestibular is your balance. Now if we don't have good balance, you're going to find a child is going to be sitting there like this. And if you can't sit up straight and you can't keep still, you're not going to be able to read and you're not going to be able to write. So you need to do lots of big body gross motor movements. So that's everything. So get them to run, change direction really quickly, get down on all fours, do roly-polies. Not only will it be building the vestibular, but it'll also be building their core strength. Another good exercise you can do for this is writing on vertical surfaces. And because they have to be able to stand still and stand up straight to write on a vertical surface. And that means you're building their core, you're building their shoulder muscles, and you're building the vestibular system. Then we come to hand strength. If they haven't got the hand strength in these intrinsic and extrinsic muscles, they're not going to be able to hold the pen for a long time. And you're going to find they're going to get tired very quickly. You'll also find that maybe the shoulder muscles and everything are taken over, so they'll start to slouch and they'll start to run their arm along. If they're running their arm along like that to move, you probably find that their muscles aren't really strong enough. What they should be doing is only balancing their forearm and sitting quite nice and straight. So for your hand strength, again, grasping something, you can use Play-Doh, you could use pom-poms, anything, tweezers, anything that is causing you to grab and pull and really, really work those muscles hard. Another thing that's really good is pulling. So they could be pulling Play-Doh. You could get your ribbons and really pull. If you pull hard, what you'll feel is all the muscles down the back of your neck, across your shoulders, down your arms and into your hands working really, really hard. So you really need to get them to do that. Then we go back to in-hand manipulation. And that's the ability to move something around your hand without the help of another hand. And this again, it strengthens the muscles and creates control. So what you could do for this one, nice simple one, is see how many items they can pick up with one hand only. So just get them to keep doing that and gripping it in the hand. And all the time they're doing that, they're building these muscles and they're building up their grip as well. So something you must remember though when you're doing all this, if your child is left-handed, you must remember they're going to hold it slightly differently and they're going to hold it further up. If they try and hold it down at the bottom, they're not going to be able to see their pen as they're writing. So you need to make sure that they're holding a little bit further back, and they're also going to probably lay their hands slightly differently. Don't try and make them right the same way as you. The best way to imagine teaching a child if they've got weak muscles is to put it in your non-dominant hand and grip it hard and just see how hard it is to write. It really is quite tricky to write, so don't try and push them too much. Another thing, if they've got any additional needs, they sometimes have, it will take a long time for the signals to come from here to here, so they might not be able to do it straight away, and you might find they have some muscular difficulties as well. So make sure you're doing all of these exercises and just keep practicing again and again. Even if your child has got a really good grip, it's still a good idea to do these pincer movements, just so that when they go to school, they've got nice, strong strokes and they can control that pen and hold it steady. So other things you can use. So at home, if you've got crayons or chalks, snap them in half, make them nice and short and stubby. Get your clothes pegs out. If you want any pipe cleaners, we've got hundreds, so let us know and you can make shapes. If you've got beads, use beads to do that. If you've got anything like this, it's really good, like little poppers, not poppers, sorry, what are these? Pipettes. So that movement again. Chopsticks are really good. What else do we use? Paint big on big scale.
They can make, if anybody's got flour, they could make dough and just do some rolling and squeezing.
Yeah, bread dough, that's a good
Yeah,
idea.
bread dough.
And try and paint everything as big as possible. When they're learning, it is really, really hard for them to write in a short space. So what you want to do is get them to write as big as possible. Oh yeah, adding different textures. So for finger isolation, you could use different textures. You could do it in rice, pasta,
Shaving foam.
yeah, anything like that. Make it fun, but make it, that's it, make them do nice prints. Oh, another good one for helper hand is get them to use their dominant hand and draw around their weaker hand. So get them to do that, and then you can get them to cut it out. All of these things are really good. So what we'll do is we'll put this, put up some ideas on tapestry for you. If you need any resources or you're worried about anything and you'd like us to do something else, then please let us know. And thank you for watching.
Bye.